So you're talking about Goth Tiki Mugs with your friends the other day. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Tiki Goth Club. Today I'm with my good buddy Jason. We're up in Tacoma at your house. And on the last episode, we went through some of Jamie's Goth Tiki mugs. And I was talking to Jason, and you're like, I got a couple Goth Tiki mugs too. And I'm like, oh yeah, what do you got? And like, well, I got this one, I got this one, I got this one. I'm like, oh my God, we should do another episode. And actually, there's even more than this. So there's actually going to be another episode after this where we even talk about even more.
Right.
So we're trying to group these up and like, let's try to make a theme with these, and I think we came up with a theme of like, what did you say?
I think we're going with dark fiction.
Dark fiction.
Dark traditional fiction that's inspired goth.
Yeah.
Or inspired by goth, or did inspire goth. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, and again, it's funny. It's like, I was like, we look at these mugs here, and again, none of them have a tiki on them, but they're tiki mugs to me.
Right. Now, I've been trying to get a handle on what falls under the dark goth tiki umbrella.
I know.
Because I grew up because I was, with metalhead and punk scenes, so goth was always a part of that.
Yeah.
And where I came up in the Houston, Texas area in my teen formative years, I was more exposed to sort of goth club industrial.
Me too.
Less so to like what I would consider traditional Victorian goth.
Yeah, and for the record here, people, like I never had wore black eyeliner. And I never painted my fingernails black, and I never wore like puffy Victorian.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I was that guy where I was trying to look like Dave Vanian. But I did listen to all that music.
Yeah, the punk group I hung out with in high school, there was that one guy that had the long coat and the frilly white shirt and the eye makeup and would quote Percy Bysshe Shelley.
Yeah.
But that was the only traditional goth from my crowd of people. And then there was the goth industrial club that I used to go to for punk shows.
Yeah.
And in the goth crowd would hang out for those too. So we had friends back and forth, but I never really considered myself in the goth scene. But I always liked horror and the macabre and dark comedy.
Well, yeah. Well, it's that's what I like about Tiki. That's dark and it's mysterious, and there is this element here of danger and.
Well, like we've talked about many times, the Tiki is kind of what happens in a beach or tropical environment after dark when things get a little more mysterious and dangerous.
Yeah.
And the imagination runs wild. So it really feeds well with the Tiki community.
Absolutely. Well, I want to start off with my favorite Monsters of Filmland, Universal Monsters.
Yes.
Monster. But I guess his name, to me, he's the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
But I guess his real name is the Gillman.
Well, it depends. I kind of think this guy right here is from Beeline Creative. That's the Geeky Tikis. And he's a little bit on the cartoony side, but he definitely has traditional Tiki features to him. And they called him the Gillman, and I don't know if that's because if they called him the Creature from the Black Lagoon, they'd have to secure rights to Creature from the Black. That would be my guess.
Yeah, the official title of this is the Gillman.
Yes, he's the Gillman.
And that's what if anyone out there, if you know the official name of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, let us know in the comment section below. Because say he moved. Say he moved to a different lagoon. So he moved from the Black Lagoon to the Gray Lagoon.
Or say his lagoon got a little more sunlight and an algae bloom.
Yeah.
It became a green lagoon or a blue lagoon.
Then what do you they keep on changing the lagoon I live in.
Again, I saw a Blue Lagoon movie when I was a kid, and it was a lot different than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I'll tell you what, this is a pretty decent mug. But I think this one does a much better representation of the Gillman.
So this was directly licensed with Universal Monsters.
Oh, it was?
Yes. So this was put out by Mondo Tees or Mondo Tikis. And it was designed by an artist that I've gotten a lot of prints from over the years, a guy named Doug Pagash.
Let me see this.
One of my favorite artists that does Tiki-related stuff, but he's also fascinated with the monsters. And that guy is just loaded with details. On the back, you can see the Rita, the boat from the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, it even says Rita on it.
Yes.
This is a beautiful mug. God, that's really nice.
And it's got a really good hand feel to it, too. It's actually, for the size of mug it is, it's really easy to grip onto.
Yeah.
And I think they put that out with like a reddish or a bluish glaze as well.
Oh, really? There's a different glaze?
Yes.
I like this
But
one.
I like the traditional because that's the way the creature should look to me.
Yeah.
But growing up, that was one of my favorite monsters. I was more into that in the Wolfman than I was Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Dracula.
I agree with you. I think.
And what are the other traditional ones? The Invisible Man and the Phantom of the Opera?
The Phantom of the Opera and the Mummy.
And then some people would say Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
So.
That's just the Gillman, hands down.
Yeah, but the creature, as far as misunderstood monster, just, if they'd left him alone, they would have been fine, but they had to mess with him.
Yeah.
So he had to do his thing.
So you ever see a creature from, if you ever see a Gillman swimming around underneath you, just let him be.
Let him be. Let him be. He's just doing his thing. You're in his place.
Do you ever see that video where it shows him wrecking stuff and it's like, and fuck this and fuck that.
Fuck this fence. Fuck that cat. Fuck that bird over
Little trivia. There was actually 2 people that played the creature from the Black Lagoon. There was one guy, I think, who took care of more of like the swimming underwater, and then there was another guy who was like the above water kind of acting. And supposedly they were like different heights. So one was much shorter and taller than the other.
Well, I can't imagine trying to swim in that costume.
God help you. So you may be asking yourself, how can I join the Tiki Goth Club? Well, there is no membership. There are no fees. But I have shirts for sale. They're $20 a piece, $5 shipping and handling. If you're interested, go to my website, tikiwithray.com. There's a prompt that says buy a shirt. Follow that, and then that's how you can get your own.
Yeah, how about we shift over to the other side now, because we just did this Mondo Tiki. I've got one other from Mondo Tiki first.
The Krampus.
So that's the Christmas Devil.
What is the Christmas Devil?
So,
to those of the
generally considered, I think, more Scandinavian than anything else, but various Europe along like the Alps region was a devil that was hand in hand with Santa Claus. That what he did is he did the punishing. Santa did the gift giving. He did the punishing. So he would grab the bad children. He would whip them. He would whip them with a cane or a stick, and he would put them in his basket, which this even has the basket on the back with little children.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's...
Yeah. So he was the Christmas Devil. So that was the one you used to warn the children, if you're good, Santa might bring you something, or Kris Kringle, or St. Nicholas, depending on where you're at. But if you're not good, the Krampus will get you.
Or they give you the Krampus Mug.
And the celebration of the Krampus has come back around the last decade or so, where people celebrate Krampus Night.
Well, the detail.
Or Krampus Nacht.
Well, I'll tell you what the detail in this movie.
It's got great detail for it.
Yeah, you're right. There's the kids and like little Christmas bells and everything.
And I believe Monk Tiki's also made Krampus mugs, but I haven't picked that one up. And then I've had people correct me that it's not Krampus, it's Krampus. Next is kind of an oddball that I picked up from Monk Tiki at one of the Tiki Cons. It was on the Monk Tiki table. It was a limited edition, and that is their Zombie Moai 2.
So it's supposed to be a Moai, but it's a zombie.
Yeah, and to me it had kind of a Frankenstein appearance to it as well.
Absolutely.
But it was grisly and super detailed, and I just decided I needed to have it.
Yeah, look at the gore, like that's the brain. Like almost like he has a bloody nose and shit like that.
That's actually one of the few mugs I have that I've never made a cocktail in.
Yeah, there you go. I need to change the name of this show instead of the Tiki Goth Club to the Tiki Gore Club. There you go. That's going to be the next thing. This is a great mug.
It's a cool mug. I dig it.
Yeah, Monk Tiki does great work. And now they're down in Astoria. We need to take a run down there and say hello.
Sooner or later. We need to get down there.
And also, you know where we need to go? Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, indeed.
We need to go to Atlanta, Georgia to see our good buddy Jonathan of Har and Clay Mugs. And when I think of Jonathan and Har and Clay, I think of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
And Edgar Allan Poe. And he based some of his mugs on some of the stories from these guys. So which one should we start with first?
Well, let me start with just a little bit of backstory.
Yeah.
So the way I actually got to meet him is that Jason Alexander, Tacoma Cabana, was a fan of Jonathan's work. So they had gotten in touch. The first place that I ever actually saw one of Jonathan's mugs was at the Tacoma Cabana.
Yeah.
Because Jason Alexander had those, and it was a big treat if you got a cocktail made in one of those mugs. It was a version, both the Cthulhu mug and the Innsmouth Fog Cutter, a different version of this one right here.
Yeah.
But he did a special event after a TikiCon a few years back where he stopped in at the Tacoma Cabana for a night, and I got to actually meet he and his family and hang out for a little while, and we've stayed in touch ever since.
Yeah,
Fantastic guy.
Yeah, Jonathan's a great guy, and he has great taste in
and a
music.
gifted graphic designer, too.
He likes Wasp.
So actually, all 3 of these mugs I picked up that night at the Tacoma Cabana. So it was
You bought all
kind
3
of
of
a
them?
treat. Yeah. So let's start with the Cask of Almadelatto, which is based on the story by Edgar Allan Poe of vengeance, of literally bricking someone into a wine cellar and leaving them there to die, which is a pretty goth story if you stop and think about it.
Yeah, so so Jonathan thought it'd be a great idea to make a mug out of. Yeah, I never thought about that. I guess Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, they're probably like almost like the godfathers of all the goth stuff.
It'd be hard to find somebody that's into goth that doesn't at least have an appreciation for them, if not a keen interest.
Man, this is a nice mug though. Feels good too.
Yeah, barrel mugs are good. A good-sized barrel mug is hard to beat. More towards the H.P. Lovecraft end of it is the Innsmouth fog cutter, based on the Shadow over Innsmouth story, which is what both Tacoma Cabana celebrated it, but then with the Devil's Reef, they went deep into that storyline with the idea of the Deep Ones and the worshippers of Dagon, which was an underwater otherworldly entity, and mer people. So in that mug, you can see the story of somebody who has genetically come from the mer people, and as they got older, they became one of the mer people and dove back into the water.
Yeah, there you go. It's all, the whole story.
One of their
right
predecessors had taken the third oath and bred with the mer people.
And
Children of Dagon,
it says
the Deep
Gillman
Ones.
House, and actually Jason and Robin ended up opening up a restaurant called the Gillman House.
Right, the Gillman House was the boarding house hotel in the fictional town of Innsmouth.
Yeah, well now there's a Gillman House in Tacoma, and it's right across the street.
Pretty much, we are, not even 100 yards away?
I think if we look out the window, you can actually see it.
We could see their windows. And then one other from Jonathan. This was for a haunted house that I've never had a chance to go to, but I really loved the design of it when I saw the mug.
Netherworld?
Yes.
The
So
detail in this
details are
one's
phenomenal.
insane.
So I remember looking it up years ago, but it was just, I never made it to the area to see what it actually was.
No, but think about it. Like, look at it. It has like ghosts, skulls, more skulls, a graveyard,
A gravedigger type
a
character.
gravedigger with a same kind of hat that Slash wears. Look,
With a top hat and a haunted lantern.
a tombstone that says "RIP." This is goth AF. and I tell you what, it's like when you talk about the combinations of like goth and tiki, it's like none of these look out of place. As far as I'm concerned, they're tiki mugs.
Nobody would look sideways at them if they were on your tiki shelf.
No, not at all. Not at all. And yeah, this is an incredible collection. And we're gonna do in the next episode.
We're gonna talk about mugs that I actually was able to pick up at bars that I thought had a tiki goth vibe to them.
Yeah, and there's way more than you think. So stay tuned.
So yeah, if you got a taste for the dark and the macabre, you can definitely indulge that in tiki.
Yes, you can.
And you can also raise a shrunken skull
Shrunken
and
skull.
enjoy.
Yeah, looks like someone's brains.
With wilted mint, not because it was getting old, but it just added ambiance.
Yeah, it actually does. Hey, Jason, this mint looks wilted. No, it's supposed to be like
It's undead.
No, it's
undead mint. It's zombie mint.
It's goth mint.
How are you now? Not so bad. Yourself? You're made out of spare parts, bud.
Yeah, let's fuck this pig.
Tick-tock.
Pitter patter. Let's get at her. All right, that's our.
Okay, that's enough of that.